Oh, good. Reinforcements arrived just in time.
Of course.
Now you'll notice he started covering his arm right away. For some reason, he for his story, he actually considers that to be a curse, and therefore he doesn't let people see the arm. That's why he went to church in the arm brace.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because he's part of this weird religion that might see him as a freak. Oh, and Proud Soul, Pride of Noble, indispensable when boosting one's ability. Oh, yes, that's right. I have to remember the items here. Using the Proud Souls acquired upon completion of a mission will allow you to obtain new skills.
Okay.
While Proud Souls must be expanded to obtain new skills, they can be returned should you decide to learn new skills. So this is actually a Nero mechanic, not necessarily anything that we've seen before. Oh, and there we go. All right, let's go ahead and go on into the next mission. You know, after we just destroyed the church. I'm sure the church is going to be fine with that. They'll totally foot the bill.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this entire room looks just fine to me.
We say as this giant Sparta statue goes... Oh, hi, Credo.
Lol.
You brought this here for me?
Credo requested. She yearns for your touch.
She yearns for your touch.
I forgot about that.
Companion a swordsman could wish for.
Oh my gosh.
So, I forgot the sword has a name. And you have to assemble it like a sniper rifle, because why not? Seriously, this is a sword that gives any wielder of a gun blade massive insecurity issues. Oh, but look, it was a little necklace that he was trying to give her.
Oh, that's actually kind of cute. I'm surprised it didn't get damaged. That's actually quite beautiful.
That's what the witnesses said.
Guy just came from hell. He's gotta hit up a couple tourist sites.
Just so lightly in a time of crisis?
Is there a motor in his sword?
There, in fact, is.
What?
Must capture him.
He has to rev it.
Trust me, I'll get it done.
Please be careful.
That reminds me of
There's
that
no
reminds me of
time.
this
Duty
one.
calls.
It's a manga. It never became an anime because it was canceled. But it was Tite Kubo's first series before Bleach called Zombie Powder, and his main character welded a chainsaw sword, which he had to rev up and turn on. So
if I remember correctly, that a lot of the inspirations for some of the stuff in Lollipop Chainsaw came from that manga.
yes,
So
Zombie Powder was so good. I am so sad it got canceled when it did. But of course, that was when I was in the 2nd grade, and I didn't read it till I was in high school. So
yeah. Oh no, we have the basic demons for the game. Oh, that guy's having a bad day. So are they.
everybody's just like, no, help.
Everybody go to Dairy Queen. It'll be better there.
See, this is why you don't go to church, guys.
Yeah. At least church is devoted to the Dark Knight Spada, because they're not exactly all protective. Wait, can I fight in front of the girlfriend?
I got this.
Hey,
So not only can you rev it, but it also heats it up. So
that's really cool. I like his sword a lot.
yeah, we're gonna be using it a lot because the more you rev it, the more power you can get for your swings.
Okay.
I thought you were the protective older brother. Oh no, not the little boy. Because now Kyrie has to go and save him.
Oh my gosh, I hate this about any sort of like media involving kids. It's like, look at all this tragedy, like literally there's all this tragedy going about, and here's this little boy, and he's like, I'm just gonna stand here and just let fate, decide how the rest of my day goes.
Exactly.
It's like, dude, like, obviously the adults ran away, let's go.
But hey, at least Nero got to come in and save the day. And also toss around these guys.
It's just so cliche. It pains me.
The cheese, it is very tangy today.
I prefer my cheese salty, thank you.
Well, there's going to be a lot of salt later on, too. So.
Okay.
Because the other thing, too, to keep in mind is that this was the era of the PS3, the 360, and the Wii. Now, the Wii didn't have this as a staple, but this was where games became very hard R, very NC-17. DMC4 is no exception. Not just because of the gore level. The sex be up in this one, too.
Oh, for real?
Yes.
Can't pack a punch.
Okay, so now can we control you, Nero? Are you gonna let us control you? Okay, cool. Mission 2. La Porte de l'Enfer. Head for Fortuna Castle, where a lot of this game is gonna take place.
Was that like... I feel like the first part of that mission title was in Italian, and then the second half was like full-on Latin.
From what I understand, the writers actually made it as some kind of weird Italian-French hybrid,
Okay,
and it didn't work out.
That doesn't work out at all, because obviously I understood the first part, the door. The last part, well, I mean, de could be is the same regardless of. I mean, anyway, it means of the door of, and I don't know what the last word is. So
And for, and I'm not even sure what it's supposed to be.
I want to say maybe Inferno, but that's just like grasping at straws based on the type of game this is. So
pretty much. But now we can actually investigate the area, so it doesn't even matter because we won't be in this plaza for that long.
Okay.
A lot of the game is actually going to take place at Fortuna Castle, so
which is what we're seeing right now.
yeah.
Got it.
Well, we're in the plaza. We're gonna make our way to Fortuna.
I see.
But now we can also. So here's another cool thing of this game that Devil May Cry fans were crying out for, literally, is double jump is now a default. You don't have to earn it later.
That sounds like magic.
Because you'll remember in DMC1, we had to pay like 20,000 red orbs to get double jump.
So much.
And you could
for the
only
double jump.
use it in the Alice store. You could not use it in Ifrit.
That's right.
And DMC3, they made it cheap, but you still had to pay for it.
I love how it takes up until like. I love how it took up until now for them to be like, oh, I guess we could just make it.
So this is us revving the sword, and now, boom.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And the UI element to like.
Yeah.
This game is so classy. I'm really loving what they've done so far.
Oh, and also, how do you like Devil May Cry in glorious HD? And at this point, it was 720, but you know.
Oh, it looks amazing. It's so good. I really like the design for the demons as well.
Yes. And actually, this is probably my favorite speed metal song that is the theme of the game. I actually have this on my iTunes. I don't have the other ones.
Oh, awesome.
Ah, come on. I'm trying to get some combos, but... Oh, there we go. I was hoping there would be more, but no.
Oh, well, you did good.
Boom! I wasted it on that, and I don't care. Oh, by the way, green orbs, yes, they give us help.
Hooray.
In case people were wondering about that. And I'm going to be collecting red orbs at the beginning just because we will need them for purchases for him. Later on, we will get access to a character that doesn't really need the purchases, so that'll be another great way to stockpile them, roughly.
I love how the demons are just like randomly popping up out of nowhere, and it's like, let's cause havoc.
It's like Onimusha 3, where all of a sudden demons in Paris. We don't understand why. We don't need to understand why, but it happened.
Just play the game.
Exactly. But play it with co-star Jean Reno.
Fancy.
Seriously, one of these days I am going to play the Onimusha series on YouTube because I'm not trying to criticize my fellow YouTubers, but the playthroughs that are on YouTube make me cry inside. They are bad. They are just horrible, and so it's like I need to fix this. I've actually talked to Alex, but I think sometime either this year or next year we're gonna get into Onimusha.
Nice.
And finally do it.
Well, I look forward to watching it.
But of course, this wouldn't be Gaming with the Geeks without a little bit of questions from you guys.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. Gotta answer some questions.
Yeah, we got to take care of this because you actually have not been part of the podcast for a couple of weeks. And there were a few things brought up that people wanted to know your opinion on.
Cool. Let's do it.
Now, the first one is we got to get to this is how the format's gone the last couple of weeks, is we go to the depressing first before we get into the good. And the depressing here is the unfortunate news of the changes to the YouTube partner program. And a lot of people actually reached out to us and were really worried about like how this was going to affect all of us as channels. And before we answer that, this is actually another cutscene and an important element to Nero.
Okay.
So this is actually how he gets his upgrades. He doesn't get devil arms.
What the hell?
Instead, he gets these weird skull orbs.
I'm okay with this. They look cool. Like, I wouldn't mind having like a replica one on my desk as like just some.
I think the collector's edition gave one.
Oh,
but,
really?
Don't quote me on that. I know they gave something because that was around the time collector's editions happened.
Well.
And it's already in the arm, so now it gives additional mechanics to the arm.
Okay.
So in this one, we get the Evil Legacy, a crystal holding the power of an ancient evil. It has the ability to awaken a new power within, which is Hellbound. So certain locations with an area contain grim grips, so you could snatch and grab onto them, like the hook shot from Legend of Zelda. So that's basically how it's going to work, and we'll show it right now.
Right now. Okay, I'm really digging this.
So now you can kind of see it. Boom!
Okay, I like that a lot.
So this is going to be a main premier mechanic for Nero, and one that is welcomed as far as I'm concerned, because like I love Devil May Cry, but eventually you had to change things up, and this was a great way to be able to do it.
I completely agree.
So now we unfortunately interrupted this stuff, but how does the partner program changes affect you now, Brinton?
Well, first off, I want to say thank you to those who, first off, were concerned about my good friends, that I get to do this incredible work and project with on my free time, because, I mean, it seriously does hurt them in ways that I can't even fully describe in the right amount of words. Additionally, I want to thank you for anybody who has felt concerned.
This is for secret missions. We're not going to worry about those. Basically, they're bonus missions that can get you extra red souls.
Oh, okay.
And we're not going to worry about them.
I have a feeling that collecting the red orbs are not going to be a huge problem in this game.
Not really. Not if we're playing on super hardcore mode. We'll collect really, really well. But anyway, go on. Sorry.
Anyway, so yeah, I just want to thank anybody who has had concerns about me and how this is going to affect me. But to answer the question, as you all know, this is a hobby. I already was not making money off of my monetization. Well, actually, I wasn't even monetizing to begin with, but I wasn't really making any money before this announcement, and clearly I'm not going to be making any money after the announcement.
You'll like this. Come here!
Oh, that's awesome.
Trust me, this is going to be something that I'm going to use a lot with Nero.
So essentially, I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all, because I have a job that is helping contribute to paying the bills and having a comfortable life alongside with my husband. Pretty much all of my energy that I'm devoting to these changes is talking and maybe even possibly at some point suggesting and even advocating ways that are going to be a lot more beneficial to those young content creators or content creators who don't meet those requirements and should meet those requirements. Bring the suggestions to YouTube and help them understand this is not going to help.
No.
This isn't going to help at all, like you think.
Personally, like, do you agree with YouTube in their statement for it, or do you think they're in the wrong completely?
I understand why they're doing this. It's what we talked about quite aggressively throughout all of 2017. YouTube has to do something. YouTube has to do something. Because last year really was a shit show. Mm-hmm. It was a huge shit show. But I don't agree with the direction that they are taking on this, because I feel that there are better ways to still allow young content creators to get their media out there. In my own personal opinion, if this is the direction that they want to take, then they need to make a way for content creators who do have wholesome, good content and obey the terms and conditions of their partnership with YouTube. YouTube should support those channels and make it so that they get noticed a lot more than those who already have over 5 million subscribers on YouTube. Those people, they meet the requirements. They don't need the extra support. They don't need the extra promotion.
Some people didn't really like a few statements that I made last night, which was like, I get that YouTube's in a rough situation and this is how they've decided to handle the situation. And ultimately, it's their company, it's their call. But my issue on the matter was like, the unfortunate reality here is that it was a big YouTuber once again sticking it to the little guy for doing something stupid, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's one of those classic scenarios where all it takes is one person to ruin it for everybody else. And honestly, I don't agree. Like, I agree with that happening in certain situations, and these is not the situation that it should happen in.
And unfortunately, the other thing that people didn't like that I mentioned, and I'm sticking to my guns here. I know a lot of people don't like that, but look, YouTube is doing what they feel is right, but frankly, they weren't the only ones that could have done at least something in this situation. And I do fault the big YouTubers in this juncture, because they could have stepped up and they could have said, Logan, this isn't cool, you shouldn't be doing this. Or when PewDiePie did it, they should have been the ones to make videos saying, no, this is unacceptable, you shouldn't be doing this as a YouTube content creator. And, and basically kind of reassuring their audience saying, you don't have to expect this from me. But when we have like a PewDiePie screaming the N-word or a Logan Paul situation, this was the thing that pissed me off the most. There were maybe two on my Twitter feed. And I follow a lot of the big YouTubers that are like in 6 digits.
Yeah.
And 2 of them made a reply. 2. All of the other ones remained silent. One of which that remained silent was another guy by the name of Markiplier. And one of the reasons that he said that he doesn't make statements anymore is like, I just don't want to be dramatic on YouTube. Well, the problem is that if you don't make a statement on the matter, you're basically condoning that happened. Okay, you're saying that I have no problem with it to an extent. I'm not saying that you're not disagreeing with it, but you're not necessarily doing anything to help or hinder that situation. So at that point, I'm not necessarily just all finding YouTube at fault. I'm also finding the YouTube community at fault, because we could have stepped up better, and we could have handled the situation before it got worse. And unfortunately, we didn't. So that's just unfortunately the way it is. But I mean, the other thing that people need to consider is like, this is a side job for you. This is a hobby. So while it sucks, but I mean, you're part of the podcast, so it sucks for you on that level.
Yeah, it does, because I mean, at some point, I do consider, like, I will consider the offer that you've given me to be part of it, like to be fully integrated and part of it, that I'm not just some quote unquote temporary member that shows up when he possibly can, but I'm there every week. I'm putting in my opinions. I'm doing actual work. And at that point, it is going to affect me, because I am contributing my time and energy into it, just as you and Alex and Romney are. Yeah, it's a joint 4-man project. I feel so bad whenever I leave Aldo out of it, because Aldo is still very much part of the team. He's part of the project, and he knows that. And when he decides to come back, that obviously we'll welcome him with open arms. Yeah,
he's simply busy. Like, to a lot of the people who've been asking like where Aldo is, he's been very busy this last year, and so in a lot of cases, him and me both had kind of an understanding. That's why we ended Resident Evil the way we did, which was like he needed to focus on some other things, and at that point we agreed like that's where his focus, his efforts should be.
Yeah, Aldo's 2017 was very different from the normal.
It was very problematic, to say the very least.
Yeah, I'm obviously we're not going to get into it, because it's not our business, and it's not something that I'm going to openly discuss. But all I want to say is that I care about Aldo, and I will advocate for him to the best of my abilities. with the current state that he is in. So anyway, going to finish, wrap up this specific question. Until I'm fully where I can fully integrate myself and dedicate myself to the podcast, for right now, it doesn't, these policy changes are not going to affect me in any way. But I do want to dedicate myself to the advocation of those who it is going to hurt, because I support my fellow podcasters, and I support my fellow community members, and those who deserve the monetization and deserve the recognition for their hard work. They're just not going to get it now.